Welcome everyone to this new video conference. Today's topic, the psychological country. Well, uh, talking about this topic, we should say since the very beginning that all of us know in what physical country we live nowadays, right? Probably we live in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, uh, Norway, England, United States, etc., etc., right? But unfortunately, most of the time of our lives, we don't even know in what part of our psychological country we live, in which part we are of our psychological country. Alright? In our own intimacy exists the psychological country. Alright? For sure, we detect we know in what neighborhood we are living currently, right? In what street and so on. And exactly the same, we have inner streets, inner neighborhoods, elegant, rich or poor neighborhoods, talking psychologically, alright? It is exactly the same. The thing here is to learn to detect in what specific part of our psychological country we are at any moment. Right? That's the most important thing here because honestly, we don't really know from instant to instant usually in what part of our psychological country we are located, and it's due to lack of self-observation. Due to lack of self-observation, we don't know ourselves. We don't know our own psychological country. Alright? It's very important to know as well. It's been told many times or several times, at least, that all of us, without exception, in our psyche, have 48 levels in our mind. Alright? In all these levels of our psyche are the different thousands and even millions of psychological defects. Right? Also called our ego. Alright? That's why it's very important to start the process of self-observing our own levels of the psyche to detect, to live, to experience the different levels of our own mind, of our own psyche. All of us, without exception, at the same time, when we are starting the process of purifying ourselves, all of us, without exception, start with level number 1. If we start with self-observation and with the inner petition to our Divine Mother, in order to delete, to eliminate each one of our psychological flaws, each one of our psychological defects. Alright? All of us. Unless, unless there is an exception, unless we have already works done from previous human existences. But the rest of us start cleaning, purifying level number 1. As soon as we finish level number 1 of our own psyche, we continue with level number 2 of our own psyche. Alright? And that's the way we work on ourselves. With each one of the different psychological defects we carry inside of each one of us. Right? It is very important to understand something else at the same time. All of us only show our own appearance to the external, to the physical world, and to the rest of the society, to our own relatives, etc., etc. What we show and what others see about us is the personality, alright? With some behaviors, for sure, emotional, mental, motor behaviors, etc., etc. But more than anything, what others see about us is our personality, our own appearance. Alright? We don't show to the rest of the mankind, to the rest of the society, our psychological defects from instant to instant. For something we've been told that there is much virtue in the wicked and much wickedness in the virtuous. Alright? It's truly essential to bring this affirmation, this argument, to reflection, to analysis. Alright? Inside of each one of us, we do have harmless psychological defects, but also rich people in our own psychological country. So depending on the different psychological flaws or defects that all of us carry inside, these psychological defects will bring us to where they are referred to. Right? Now, based on all this previous information, we may see apparently a very magnificent or decent citizen, right? Dressing in a very nice way, apparently acting in a good way, with nice behaviors, etc., etc. But inside of that person, without a doubt, there are thousands and even millions of different types of psychological defects, controlling his life from instant to instant, even when no one of us may see his real inner behaviors. Right? There are many canonized saints that still live in the psychological dens of theft or in houses of prostitution. for sure. Because if they didn't know themselves correctly, entirely, in each one of their psychological levels of the mind, they die without knowing themselves, right? And maybe, and even being canonized, they still live in the psychological dance of theft, right? That's absolutely possible, more than we think, right? All those companies, all those companions, infrahuman companions, hidden in the deepest levels of our own psyche, right? That's why there was a lot of suffering in the diverse saints of the history, right? We should remember the different temptations of, for example, Joan of Arc, right, who was burned at the stake, right, for the different abominations against the ones had to fought Francis of Assisi, right, because he fought against various abominations, psychological, sexual abominations that he carried inside of him. Alright? We have no idea the different sufferings that they went through when they tried to purify themselves entirely. In each one of the 49 levels of the mind. Alright? Now, what happens when any one of us dies? It's been taught a lot when we talk about beyond death. Alright? What happened with our own psychological country, which is our own ego, when any one of us dies in any of our 108 human existences? What happens with us when we die is that we continue repeating what we did when we had the physical body, right? Exactly the same situation. Exactly the same sins, comedies, tragedies, etc., etc. Right? Due to the reality that if we didn't dissolve, if we didn't remove, if we didn't eliminate, if we didn't delete all the different psychological defects that we created since the previous human existences, we don't have consciousness. So we continue living mechanically in the eternity, which is the same fifth dimension. We go straight to the fifth dimension when we died in any one of our physical bodies. Alright? That's very important to understand as well. We repeat, we do the same that when we had the physical body. Alrighty? thief. He continues in the world of guns, right? Murders, assassinations, etc. Living exactly, literally, on the same streets where he used to. Literally. Living on the same streets, in the same city, the same nation, the same continent. Alright? The sportsman of high level he continues with his same sport. Playing golf, soccer on the same pitch, tennis, etc., etc. Literally in the same places where he used to play when he had his physical body, right? These are also called ghosts. We shouldn't be afraid of ghosts, because ghosts are only the same personality of all these people when they had physical body, right? In fact, when we fall asleep every single night, we experience a small death, because exactly the same as when any one of us die, physically, each night we go straight to the fifth dimension, right? If we were concentrated in the physical dimension, if we were focused in awakening our own consciousness through the releasing of the consciousness which is currently trapped in our ego, through the process of the psychological death, the elimination of the different psychological defects, will release the essence which is trapped in each one of our own psychological defects. So gradually, grain by grain, literally little by little, we'll be aware in the fifth dimension of the universe. Alright? We'll develop, we'll deserve to have our own consciousness, the real consciousness. In this fifth dimension, also called the astral zone, the molecular world, the region of the dreams. Alright? Anyway, this is the astral world of the universe, fifth dimension. Every single night, even plants and animals, all of us go straight to this fifth dimension to experience exactly the same we do in the physical world. Alright? That's why we want to insist in the urgency of eliminating or deleting our ego through the practice of the psychological death, to gradually know and clean more and more and more purification of our own psychological country. Alright? It's necessary to sooner than later know our own psychological country. Alright? It's necessary to take advantage of our current human existence with correct techniques, with correct and objective procedures that will lead us, will guide us through the self-realization, to the authentic freedom. We are absolutely attached to our ego. Alright? So gradually we continue, we persevere with the elimination of our psychological defects. Little by little we'll have more consciousness, we'll be more conscious in the fifth dimension each night. Alright? So when we die in this present human existence, right, we'll have consciousness right there. But unfortunately, We haven't deleted our ego. From existence to existence, we've been continuing doing exactly the same things. Alright? Now, the essence herself, when we talk about the essence, is talking about our saying divine spark is divine. He's the eternal, the real inside of each one of us. Right? This 3% of essence of consciousness is the real, the absolute in each one of us, the eternal. Right? He's more than beautiful. Right? He's more than something amazing. He's unique. Alright? And he came from the stars. Literally, our divine spark came from the stars. Alright? And due to the creation of visas, passports, nationalities, all those divisions, different type of languages, alright? We don't know and we don't recognize ourselves as a brotherhood. Not in this planet, at least not for now. If we clean, if we delete our ego, if we delete our own psychological country, if we purify our own psychological country with the releasing of the consciousness currently trapped inside of the ego of each one of our psychological defects, we'll start looking at others, seeing others as brothers, no matter where he came from, no matter where is she from, literally. Right? That's why we insist here in the reality of changing the way we think and the way we feel. But that's only possible through the elimination, the deleting of the ego, the psychological defects. A lot of reflection, much analysis, alright? All these different type of, yes, reflections, analysis, releasing of consciousness will change ourselves due to our own efforts and merits, working with the work of the psychological death. Alright? But unfortunately, the other 97% of our own consciousness is trapped inside of the ego. Alright? That's why it's necessary to make the transfer of all these 97% of consciousness trapped inside of each one of our psychological defects to his origin, to our divine spark, in order to increase the percentage of consciousness, alright, and to decrease consciously the power of reaction of our ego, right? That incredible power that the ego has of controlling our own lives, literally. That's possible and something with urgency, literally, nowadays. It's possible for the essence to going back to the initial starting point, alright? To the initial starting point. That's absolutely possible. It's possible to go back to the stars. But first of all, it's necessary to be released of the bad companions where she is currently. And that's only possible if we delete our ego in order to release the rest of the 97% of our unconsciousness, right? to put it back to the original starting point. Right? Now, based on this previous information, we also should know that all of us continuing with this talk about the essence, the divine spark, and the personality, the ego, that all of us, without exception, have something called the gravity center. Now this gravity center of each one of us is in the personality, due to the power of the ego inside of each one of us. Right? There is the gravity center, for example, of the sportsman, and that's why he will attract everything related with sports. Alright, depending on the sports where she or he is living currently and where he or she is practicing nowadays. The politician, for example, his gravity center will be in the things related and associated with politics. Exactly the same gravity center, for example, for a business person. A business person has exactly the same situation. Alright? His gravity or her gravity center is only in the things of business. Of businesses. That's why he or she will attract only physical things related with business. More people associated with businesses, or in the case of the politician, more politicians, etc., etc. Right? If we start with the process of releasing the rest of our 97% of consciousness, our gravity center will be the gravity center of the esotericist. Right? And this is something to experience. This is something essential, crucial, currently, nowadays. It's possible to deserve this option, to make it a reality inside of each one of us, the gravity center of the esotericist. Alright, to establish our gravity center in our essence. Right? But it's necessary to first delete the different psychological defects that are controlling our personality, our gravity center, and our lives, our destinies, our relations. Something too mechanic. Too mechanic. Something too narcissist. Something too selfish. Alright? The science person, for example, he or she only attracts laboratories of science, books of science, intellectuals, etc., etc. People that is But if we make this transfer, the transfer of these 97% of consciousness, of essence, to the original point, to our divine spark, through the process of psychological death, we'll make the transfer at the same time of the gravity center. We'll have, thanks to our own merits and efforts, the gravity center of the esotericist. That's very important for us. the seekers of the path. Alright? It's possible to establish the gravity center in the consciousness. And this is not only something possible, it's something essential, crucial in our present life, in our current life. If we may establish our consciousness in our divine spark, if we establish our gravity center in our divine spark, it's possible to go back to the stars, right? Because we came from the stars. We are not original from the Earth planet. This is our school to learn the self-realization, our own self-regeneration, the authentic freedom. How could we be free when we carry ego inside, which is the origin, the cause of the entire sufferings we've been facing during this and during the previous human existences? It's not possible to experience authentic freedom, authentic self-realization, authentic purification of each one of us when, without a doubt, without exception, all of us carry a lot of suffering inside. Deleting, eliminating, gradually, with infinite patience and with the technique of the psychological death, each one of all those psychological defects that control the different levels of our own psychological country will be free, literally in the entire universe. Our purpose, our goal is going back to the stars, from where all of us without exception came from. We are not from the Earth planet. Originally, we are not from the Earth planet. We came from the stars. But this trip to go back right there from when we came from is only possible if first, in this school called Earth Planet, if we first eliminate our own ego, alright, with infinite patience, discipline, perseverance, and the fundamental, the basis of all this work, inner work, which is the psychological death, the elimination of the ego. Alright? Remember something else. If we don't know from instant to instant in which part of our own psychological country we are located, it is not possible to know in an astral experience, when we fall asleep each night, in what part of the fifth dimension we are located as well. But if we start with the process of the self-observation, gradually we'll know, and in fact we should know, our own psychological country, to gradually know the place, the specific region, zone, or part of the fifth dimension of the universe. So gradually we'll deserve, and in fact we'll have more consciousness in the fifth dimension, in the astral world. We have dreams, we dream a lot, but we are not conscious people right here. It's possible only through the process of knowing our own psychological country. Alright? Infinite patience, remember. Literally, and even more than that, infinite patience. will, that serious desire or yearn from the bottom of our hearts. Working with all that, the transfer will be a reality. Until the moment we establish our gravity center in our essence, in our divine spark. Well, thank you very much for attending to this conference. Have a great day. And if there is any question or doubt about this topic, please let me know. And shortly I will respond to you as soon as I can. Bye.